need to know what to do with that dough. Let the chef show you. You need to know what to do with that dough.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Need to Know Pod. I'm your host, Chef Sahira, and today I'm so excited. We have a guest today. We will be talking to a good friend of mine, Robin, aka Wanderfully Me. We've been friends for almost 30 years, so I'm excited to talk to her. I'm excited for you guys to hear all about her. I'm interested in all of the food that she has consumed all over the world. So I think this should be an interesting conversation. So let's bring Robin on in. Hey, Robin, how are you?
I am good, Sahara. So good to see you.
We are finally able to get this recording. We've been trying to do this podcast episode together for a while. So I'm so happy that we are able to finally set aside some time. So really quickly, Robin and I have been friends for almost 30 years. I know it's 98 because that's when we went to the Lauryn Hill concert together. And right, actually, truth be told, I met you the day after Thanksgiving in 98. I just happen to know that. As I was starting my journey, Robin has been there from the beginning, from not even thinking of having a business or going to school. So Robin has tasted my food from just regular food. So Robin has been with me the whole journey, throughout my whole journey.
Listen. If we're going to talk about the whole journey, we're going to keep it 100 for your listeners.
Oh, what? No, wait a minute now. But before we get into that, let's first introduce yourself, Robin. Tell the people who you are, what you be, what's your story, what's your claim to fame. Yes.
Sahara and I have been friends for the longest, as she said, but my journey has been very interesting. And I don't regret the steps along my journey. But, Sahara knew when she met me, we met on the same job working for transit, hating the job every day, hating it, not disliking it, hating the job every day. And I just knew that I wanted to do something else. I knew that I wanted a different life. I knew that there were other things that were my passion. And I think along in that journey, I was just figuring stuff out, like how to activate, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times we have these thoughts, but we don't know how to put them in motion. So we met at that job. Eventually, I quit that job to I don't want to say find myself, but to take a break and try to reset. And ended up going back to school, got my bachelor's and my master's in social work, and then I proceeded to do that. But along that journey, I was also learning so much more about myself that it made me recognize what was important. And travel is one of those things that's very important to me. As Sahara mentioned, food is very important. I've been to more than 50 countries, and I have been fortunate to be able to do a lot of work in communities in several countries, and I love that. But I didn't know that my journey was also going to include some chronic illness. I have fibromyalgia, and so that has disabled me. So I don't do what I used to do, but I'm still the same person, right? So I've had to figure out how to be that person with different circumstance. So here I am on the Need to Know Pod because you all need to know how to get there. Here I am on the Need to Know Pod because you all need to know how to get. Here I am on the Need to Know Pod because you all need to know how to get. Here I am. Need to Know Pod because you all. Here I am. Need to Know Pod. There's so many stories, but I want to start with the initial story because people need to understand that when you have a discerning palate like mine, who knows what good food tastes like, you don't just eat anybody's food. because there's something in me that has to be honest about how it went down. So you just don't eat anybody's food. So when we met the day after Thanksgiving and Sahara decided she was going home to get some food and was going to bring some back for me, and I was like,
Woodhaven Boulevard near Queens Center
Woodhaven
Mall. Shout out
Boulevard,
to Queens. Yes.
for real, for real. So yeah, I was like, okay, we gonna see. So I had to try a few things. I said, okay, and we had to try a few things, and it was good. But in the walking back to the house and getting to see, how things were set up, because we just don't eat at everybody's house. You just don't eat everybody's food if you're a discerning person like I am. Some people just eat anything, and you can't trust them anyway because they'll eat anything. They eat garbage and think it's good. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So I was like, this could go really wrong real fast. Like I'm eating somebody's food up in their house, and me being me, I'm gonna say what I really think.
Clearly.
Fortunately. And the thing is, what people don't understand is even though I have my preferences for how things are prepared, and it's not that Sahara prepared everything the way I would, because I understand that people are going to cook their way. I can give like a real opinion about the way it was prepared, as opposed to the way I would prepare it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So like, I didn't expect that Sahara was going to make collard greens the way that I would like collard greens, which is kind of like a more Eastern North Carolina style of way, right? Sahara does a little bit different, but it still was good. And so I can honestly say that that was good. But you know what was great? The macaroni and cheese. And when I tell you, I do not tell people that stuff is great, but that macaroni and cheese was hitting on so many levels. Oh my goodness. Oh my word. That macaroni and cheese was hitting. And I think it's because it's not, she doesn't use typical technique.
People make macaroni and cheese so many different ways because,
Exactly.
like, so many different ways. You can take 10 people and you'll get 10 different recipes. And,
Absolutely.
As I was looking on YouTube just to see what people are making, a lot of people make the creamiest macaroni and cheese. I'm not a creamy macaroni and cheese person. I like more of a firm macaroni and cheese.
Because some people think that you just need to dump a lot of cheese in there. But it's about balance of flavors, right? You can't just put any old cheese in there. I have a personal preference of Cracker Barrel, but not everybody does.
Yes. I saw one guy say, and this is somebody who has a huge following. He turned out to be a little shady, but nonetheless. But I looked at an old video he did, and he was making a macaroni and cheese, and he said, "What cheese? Any cheese that's on sale?" Yeah, no, And I think it's a difference from in this podcast is not about my macaroni and cheese, but I will say I think there's a difference between buying cheese that's already shredded and shredding your own cheese.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, the shredded cheese has cellulose on it.
Okay.
Shredded cheese has cellulose on it, which basically is like wood chips.
Now that I did not know.
Yes. Yes. People need to check. It has cellulose on it. They put an anti-caking agent in there to keep it from clumping together. Yeah. So yeah, there is something to grating your own cheese. Absolutely. And there is something to making the sort of sauce,
The roux.
yes, making a roux and then making the sauce with that. I wasn't gonna go roux because I figured a lot of people they don't know. So I was just saying sauce. And I was just leaving it to your episode for them to know. But I'm just saying that technique.
I didn't know it was a roux until years later. I didn't know. I just knew this is how it was shown. This is how it was shown. So that's what I was doing. We could do a whole episode about macaroni and cheese now.
My point was, it could have, like, yes, we've been friends since '98, but it could have gone really wrong day one. I'm just here to tell you.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that it went really well. Like I said, We also not only did we have friends in common, but just like music. So we went to Lauryn Hill.
Ooh, yeah. And Maxwell was the
I remember she brought out Mary J. Blige. I do remember
mm-hmm.
that. I remember that because she sang that song with her. I remember that. And her
Yep.
band was phenomenal. I was just
Whoa,
blown away. I
crazy.
was blown away
Crazy.
but yeah.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was good.
Okay, so let's get into the travel aspect. I want to talk about the food, the places that you've gone. All first,
Mm-hmm.
tell us a little bit about how you got into traveling. And
Ooh.
and I don't even think this is going to be an honest conversation because even though I'm not so open to eating so many different things, but I've heard you tell me, like when you were in Thailand, the food that was really good, or is it Thailand that they have something that's really, really hot, their seasoning?
Oh, it's hot. It's spicy. It's spicy beyond spicy. It's spicy, like so spicy that, like, for me, it would be crazy spicy when they say it's not spicy. When they say it's not spicy, it's crazy spicy. That's how much of a difference there is between what they think is spicy and what I would think is. And mind you, what I've now seen since I've returned from Thailand, because I spent like 3 years in and out of Thailand, and what I've seen is that most people I know can't even tolerate what I can tolerate, spice wise. So if I'm telling you they're not spicy, it's very spicy, believe you would be like, this is too much. This is too much. When my parents came to visit Thailand, my mother was like, "Oh yeah, I like spicy." I said, "No, you don't." Yeah, but yeah, the food in Thailand is crazy spicy. Like it's on a whole other level. It's okay. So they have these like really small chilies, and these are the ones that you need to be worried about. These are really small chilies, and there's a dish called samtam, which is basically a papaya salad, but it's like a green papaya salad. So it's not ripe papaya like you know it. It's kind of which is kind of orange and mushy. No, this is green papaya, and they sort of shred it like you know how you have shredded cabbage. It's kind of shredded like that, and it is mixed with I think it has like some fish sauce, some palm sugar, like some kind of vinegar or something in it. I can't remember exactly what's in it, but my point is it's very popular. And my friend and I went to this place that we always went to get it. But normally we are paying attention, but we were in a deep conversation, and he ordered, and he was like, "Yeah, can I have the Thai style? 'Cause they make it all different kinds of ways. You can get like the salted egg in there. You can get like these like baby crabs in there, or like these dried shrimp. You can do all these different things. We were getting like a plain one Thai style, but we were not paying attention. So when we said Thai style, meaning the type, they made it Thai style, like for a Thai person, because we weren't looking. Because if we were looking, we would have said, "Oh, one chili." That's how potent these chilies are. One chili, and if they put two in there, you could eat it, but your mouth is burning. Well, we were talking. They prepared it, put it in the bag. We just paid for it, took the bag. We get back. We sit down to eat. We put it. I said, "Oh my gosh, you see all these chilies in here?" So now I'm trying to pull the chilies out, like move them, because they kind of mash everything up in there, and they're doing this thing. And I'm trying to pull the chilies out, pull the chilies out. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It was so hot. I'm telling you, my mouth, I I couldn't eat it. And my friend is like, "Oh, we don't want to waste money," because he hadn't really gotten into it yet. I said, "Well, you can have mine because I'm not eating it." My whole mouth was numb, my tongue was numb, my nose was running, I was sweating. I mean, yes, it's hot in Thailand, but I'm telling you, I was sweating profusely. And this was from like two bites.
And when you eat that much heat, won't that heat come out the other end?
Of course it will. If you're not used to it, if your system is not used to it, yeah, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel it. Going in and coming
That's a
out.
no for me, dog.
That's a no for you. It was a all the way no for me. It was ridiculous. So to the point where, you have to tell them, like, you tell them, even if you tell them one chili, they still give you two or three. I'm just telling you. and it's spicy, but I love papaya salad. Like I eat papaya salad all the time, but I have to watch them so that I can make sure they don't put a whole bunch of chilies in there. Because even once you take them out, the fact that they've been there, that thing is hot. Yeah, it's very hot. Thai food can be very very spicy, especially in the southern part of Thailand. Especially in the southern part of Thailand. Yeah.
We may have to do an episode on just the different places that you've gone and take, maybe do like a part two. So Thailand in itself could look.
A whole
We
episode.
learned about Thailand. Tell us about the different places that you've gone. Just to run off a few countries
Ooh, okay. So I've been
and
to
and then also tell like the different countries, and in that list name like your top three places that you love their food.
Thailand is definitely in the top of the list for the food that I love because everything is prepared.
The heat with all the heat.
Yeah, but you know what? Because you can control the heat, right? So you can tell them like, no, like you only want a little bit, or be like, no, like no spicy, no chili, no, Tell 'em.
They speak English in Thailand.
So a lot of people do speak English. A lot of people do, but not everybody. And because they're very shy people and they don't like to make mistakes in others, even if they understand a little bit of English, they still won't repeat it back to you or say anything in English to you because they're afraid to make mistakes. Like in Asia, like saving face is like a really big thing. So they don't want to make mistakes. So they don't say anything. So, I just tried to learn the things that would keep me moving in the process. So that's why I said no, it means basically just a little. So when people say, "Oh, you speak Thai," I'm like, no. Everything is just a little.
Okay.
Yes.
Nitnoy?
Nit noi.
Nitnoy. Okay. Nitnoy. Okay. Okay, so get to naming those countries.
So I mean, I've been to the run of the mill spots, right? I've been to London. I've been to Paris. I've been to Barcelona, Spain. Um,
How's the food in Paris? I've never had a desire. That's
To go
not
to
some
Paris?
place. No.
it's not a place that I would recommend that people visit, and people are always shocked when I tell them that. Um, I don't recommend it because Parisians are rude. And that's coming from a New Yorker. So I'm saying they rude. They mad rude. And they don't like tourists at all. And they won't help you. They just ridiculous. That's not to say that all French people are like that. Because I've met many French people who were the kindest, most welcoming, helpful, but they'll tell you the same thing. Oh, people from Paris is just, raggedy. So I don't recommend Paris. But I will say they got that baguette on lock. If you're a person who likes bread in any kind of way, and that butter on it, and they don't believe in margarine, they believe in butter, and they put some. I mean, the pastries is banging. But the baguette. And when I tell you, I was wondering why you would see people walking around with a baguette, and they'll have just like this little piece of paper, like this is the paper wrapped around the bread, and that's how they hold it. They're holding the bread just in that one spot, but it's not in a bag or nothing. They're walking around the streets, and everybody got a baguette. And I'm like, what's that about? Well, I found out real quick. The baguette is breakfast, lunch, dinner. It is so damn good. It is beyond delicious. And I thought, having gone there, that they had the best bread in the world because of I just assumed because the pastries were good and the baguette was great. But if you're talking about really good bread, when I went to Germany and Austria, they got the bread game down. Damn, that bread is. And I had met German people who told me that Germany had really good bread, and I was like, okay, well, Paris, I had the baguette, it was wonderful. The bread in Germany and Austria, specifically Bavaria, because Bavaria is very close to Austria. That area of Germany, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Okay, where else have I been where the food has been good? And even though I do give props to the bread in Germany, the food in Germany is like okay. The thing about German food to me is that it's very home style. So it's a lot of like bratwurst and knockwurst um and they do believe in eating everything. They make it. They'll cook something some way. It's just that I don't think it has seasoning like the way we like.
I know you've been to Japan.
Japan is on my list of number one places, and I've only been to Japan once, but I want to go back. When I tell you everything I ate was delicious, the freshness of the food and the like, it's like prepared like art. The meals were just unbelievable. It changed my way of thinking about food. It was just phenomenal.
Now, have you been to any Japanese restaurants in the States that
Yeah,
now do they compare to the food in Japan?
no,
No. Okay.
not at all.
Okay.
I mean, I did have my favorite place in that I used to go get sushi all the time when I lived in North Carolina, and they at that point they were the best Japanese food I had eaten. But now that I've been to Japan, nothing, not even close. Not even close. And I think it's this the thing about the quality. Like they're very serious about the food. That's what I'm saying about the art. See, people don't even understand that there's so many different kinds of rices. In Japan, they can tell you about the rice that they're consuming because they have very specific ties to that rice, the way that that rice was cultivated. And yeah, the rice thing is so serious. It's so serious. Yeah. But food in Japan, delicious. Food in Japan is just
What about Kenya? I know spent a lot of time in Kenya. I don't think we've ever talked about the food. How's the food out there?
the food is good. I mean, in East Africa, the food is pretty similar. So I've been to, as we mentioned, Tanzania. I've been to Kenya. I've been to Uganda. I've been to Rwanda. And yeah, and a lot of the food, a lot of the food is similar. Um, yeah, very typically East African. I would say that the only one that's a little bit different is Rwanda because they have that French influence. You know, a lot of times places are influenced by the colonizer. So you found a lot of, yeah, I mean 100. So the food in Uganda and Kenya and Tanzania basically, you know, they had the influence of the British and the Germans. And if you go to in Tanzania, what they had was influence from the Arabs, the Omani, and Indian culture because there was a lot of trade that happened like in Zanzibar. So like Dar es Salaam and Zanzibar have a very coastal way of preparing things like Mombasa in Kenya because it was trade that was going on in that area. So it's a little bit different. It has more of an Arab connection. So yeah, it's a little bit different.
So give me like a typical meal in Kenya, and also talk to the quality. I think that goes without saying. The food in the U.S. is so different than.
Yeah, food in the U.S. is very processed. Even when you think you're getting something as basic as a steak, the way that cow was raised is very different than what you're going to find other places. So when I talk about quality, it's a little bit challenging because you have to sort of forget what you know from the US side of things and then look at how things are happening in other places. So, you know, like if you think about Japanese food, some people talk about like wagyu beef and it being one of the best. And it's because of the way those cows are raised. You know, they literally rub those jokers, sing to them, feed them beer, you know, to keep these cows happy. This is the truth. And so that's the fat content in their meat is very high. So when you cook it, they cook it, it's just like a hot second boop boop. They slice it thin, cook it really quickly because it doesn't take much. And it's like butter melting in your mouth. That's how the flesh is. But now when you talk about eating food in say a Maasai community, which they raise cows, those cows have a I don't want to say have a hard life, but and it's not like they're in a pen like in the US where it's very farmed, you know, not a lot of space to roam. But the Maasai people are pastoralists. So they move around with those animals a lot. And so they're working those muscles all the time. So that affects how the meat is. Plus, those cows are much leaner. So when I first got there, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're starving the cows. But it's because in the US, we see these really, really fat cows. And we also need to differentiate between the dairy cow and the beef cow, right? The cow that they're using for beef, because they are different. Now, don't get me wrong, you can eat them both, but they're raised differently, right? So the cow that you're getting the milk from is pretty much going to stay close to home, right? So that your family can get the milk, right? Whereas this cow that's for beef is out there trying to find something wherever. That dairy cow, usually you keep it close and you bring the hay to it. You know what I'm saying? The alfalfa to it so that it has to eat, right? So it's very different. So what I'm trying to get at is the first time I had a steak in East Africa, I was like, what leather is this?
Wow.
I was like, what leather is this? This is like, it was a very different experience for me. Not only that, when I tried to order my steak medium rare, and they were looking at me like I was crazy because you get beef, they may say it's a steak because it's a piece, but like you, I mean, unless you're going to a very westernized restaurant, you're not getting a ribeye, a New York strip, right? I mean, they can identify the fillet, and you might get a fillet, but that joke is going to be cooked like way longer than what I would like. I'm not a person who's going to eat like really well done food, but there, everything is cooked well done. They don't know nothing about nothing about no medium rare steak. They were like looking at me like I was stroke crazy. And chicken too. I want to say that also. So one of the things my stepdad said was that was the toughest chicken I ever ate. Keep in mind, this is a chicken that we saw walking around, and then they slaughtered it and prepared it that same day. And when he got that chicken, like he was just like, this was the toughest chicken. And I said, yeah, see, they believe, I think they call it kineji. Um, I'm probably saying it wrong, but it's something like kineji chicken, and it's like real specific. Like the chicken that we eat, they say this for like they call it a broaster. So that chicken is like fatter and bigger. Like when you go other places, that's another thing I want to say. When you go other places, you realize that we on something in the U.S. Because you don't find no chicken leg this daggone big.
Right, right, right.
You know what I'm saying? That's not happening. It's it's just mind blowing. That's why I say you got to forget everything that you know about food from the U.S. because our stuff is so processed that when we see something that's regular, we don't even realize.
Yeah. I always tell people about in the summertime I used to love watermelons, but all the watermelons here in the US are genetically modified. You no longer have the black seeds in it. So
Right.
when I went to Costa Rica, I had watermelon and fresh pineapple every day because it was just out. It was always available, and
Always
I
available.
was so happy to see those seeds. So that's probably the last time I had a real watermelon, the fruit.
And they're so plentiful, and the price is so right. They're plentiful, and the price is right. I mean, honest to goodness, in the US, you pay so much extra just to get something that says organic, certified organic. Meanwhile, everything is organic when you go other places. Why?
When you was in Tanzania, what did you have?
Oh, in my yard, I had pomegranate, I had lemons, I had mangoes, I had bananas, and what is the other one? Passion fruit. Yeah, I had all those things in my yard.
And then you come back to the US to have everything all um,
Yeah.
genetically modified.
Yeah.
Genetically
I
modified.
mean, you have to read the label so hard to see if something in there has been genetically modified. And pretty much everything we eat has been processed in some way. And it does make a difference. I want everybody to know that it does make a difference. And the prices of things in the US is scary. That's not to say that things can't be expensive by the according to the way that they're making money in that country, right? So for me, I might come in because I'm used to paying $3 for an avocado. So I get there and I can get one for 5 cents. And I'm like, wow, this is so, inexpensive. But for them, that's nominal but affordable, right? It's nominal and affordable. If that same avocado goes up to 25 cents, then it's like, wait a minute. If it went up to $1, I think people would revolt, which it wouldn't, because everybody has a neighbor who has an avocado tree, and you have a lemon tree, and this one, has, the mangoes, and you know what I'm saying? Everybody has something. So you don't have to spend so much because community is different, But yeah, so Thailand and Japan are like two of my favorite places food wise. My first real foray into solo travel internationally was when I went to Portugal. So I started in Portugal and then I visited a few other places in Europe. Because I read no Portuguese, I would go to a restaurant, close my eyes, and just point, and wherever my finger landed, that's what I would order. No idea what it was. I never had a bad meal. I never had a bad meal. It was always very good. Cod is very popular there, so they have cod in a lot of dishes. I mean, is it the best food I've ever had? Probably not the best food, but I mean, the quality of the food is good. The taste of the food is good. But again, there's this thing about depth of flavor, right? Like all these different spices and things that I like. So it's not the way I would prepare it. Even if I made some of those dishes, I would add a little something to it because, a little razzle dazzle because I need that. So I love Caribbean food. So,
Well, Caribbean people, they season their stuff nice. I was just doing another episode and just talking about the food and how we grew up. I know me culturally in different communities cook differently, of course, but growing up, we didn't use a lot of fresh herbs and stuff. It wasn't until I got older. We always used the dry spice. Yep, the dry spices. So it wasn't until just getting older and I would guess for culinary school, but also they had the whole, the Food Network is around. So, you can't get me to get garlic in a jar. I know people who still do, but for some reason I like cutting up garlic. I love rosemary and basil and fresh herbs, but
and fresh thyme. Ooh. Now, see, that's what you learn the Caribbean style. Gotta put that fresh thyme in there.
I think thyme to me is not as fragrant. I use it, but that rosemary and sage and basil.
Yeah, no, I love all of them. Yeah, I love all of those different ones. But I think because Caribbean food is probably at the top of my list of kinds of foods that I like. Oh yeah, because I like I think I like things that are very seasoned. I really do. But that's not to say I can't appreciate other stuff. You know.
See, I'm not a spicy kind of person, so like I learned how to. It wasn't until I got older that I learned how to make what is it, curry chicken. Because
Oh,
Kenny
okay.
likes spicy stuff. Kenny actually
Right.
likes Caribbean food. So Kenny, the husband, right? So I learned how to make that. I learned how to do like brown stew chicken.
Yeah, see, but so even with that, I'm real picky on that. Like you said, you make curry chicken. My first thing is what kind of curry you using?
Well, my sister-in-law is Trinidadian, so
Right.
sometimes she'll have like the curry from Trinidad. So
Yes,
and I
before
notice it. I know I don't get me. That's not my thing. I don't know, but I know she'll.
chief. But let me tell your audience. Let me tell your audience, chief.
But do they sell chief in the store?
Yes, and not in the regular store. Usually, you gotta go to. Um, Sometimes you'll have it in the Asian markets, or Caribbean market, really. But you can find it. You can find it.
Well,
Trust
hers
me.
was coming from Trinidad.
Yeah. Well, this is from Trinidad. This, I've been there too.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
But I know, speaking on how I make curry chicken, I was taught by
Yes.
them. I was taught by actually her daughter. Her daughter showed me how to
Right.
make it, and she makes it like a paste. So I know people make it differently. I know people make it
Right.
differently. Um, but and I never thought I would like it, but I have eaten their food before, and I was like, okay, let me learn how to make this. So I'm never gonna say, girl, let me bring some curry chicken to the party. No, but it's good, but it's just not something that I don't love it. If I make it, I'm making it because to give my family a different option.
Well, I like a variety. So, I dabble in a little bit of the Mexican side, and I like Italian food, and you know, yeah, I love it. When I went to Italy, like everybody says, oh, you gotta have pizza in Naples because that's the home and blah blah blah. And I'm not saying that it isn't. And the pizza was delicious. But I'm from New York, so we make the best pizza. Period.
And let me just let it be known that Staten Island has one of the best pizza places, Brothers Pizza.
Okay.
They're so good they don't deliver. They only take cash. And if you want the pizza, you will go there and get cash.
Get it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know that's right.
yeah. Like the
I know that's
best
right.
pizza. And it's been, I think, like maybe one of the top places. There might be a list of the top places, the top pizza places, and they are like one of the best. If not
Okay.
if not number one, they like in the top five. Easy, easy. It's the best. So, um, yeah, I do like Italian food. I do like Italian food. I don't know that I have a desire to go to Italy also.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. I've been several times. I think I've been to Milan, I've been to Sorrento, I've been to Florence, I've been to Rome, the Amalfi Coast. I've been a few places. I've been a few places in Italy. I can't think of every place, but I've been a few places in Italy. And the food is good. I'm not denying that. But if I like more of the traditional stuff, so I like to be off the beaten path. When you go places that are in like the tourist areas, you're getting like some basic food. I like something that somebody grandmother made. You know what I'm saying? They mama in the kitchen kind of thing. Like I like those little places because that's where you get really authentic, good food. As a matter of fact, we went someplace and had lunch, and my sister ordered some spaghetti, and we like looked over, and she was like crying, and I was like, what's the matter with you? She was like, it's so good. And yeah, I thought she was being a little dramatic, but honestly, I felt the same way when I was in Japan. I was like, this food is so good, like it's beyond what you have known, and it just hit different.
Oh, you the one who introduced me to one of my favorite Italian places, Carmine's, all of those years
Yes.
ago. I love it
Yeah.
because that chicken cutlet parmesan. I don't know what I don't believe that's a regular chicken that they got number one. I don't know what they do to it, but I know for myself, like I'm not gonna try to
Duplicate that.
yeah, I'm not, and I have their cookbook, but I just know I'm not gonna get the same flavor. I'm not. I don't know what they got an Italian chicken in there, but it tastes so different. It tastes so different. You can go to a pizza place and let me get a chicken cutlet parmesan.
But I think that goes back to what I was saying about like the places or the people who treat it like art. There's some people who are just feeding you to be full. So that kind of takes me back to what I was saying about the food in East Africa. To me, it is a lot of things that will make you full, but not that you're going to turn around and be like, oh my gosh, that was the best so and so I've ever had. It's the kind of thing like you can enjoy, but it didn't hit me like I just got to have more of that. There's certain things that I like when I'm there. Like they call it sambusa, but it's like samosas. I love to get those there. They're always very tasty. Um, and they do grilled meat. They call it nyama choma. And so usually you're getting like beef, and you can get chicken, but it's usually beef and goat. Typically, those things are what's offered, and it's like huge plates. You got like these big Flintstone bones coming up at you. No, I'm just saying, but it'd be like some big plates of stuff, and it'd be bones and everything. You just kind of gotta pick through it because in East Africa they also eat with their hands a lot.
Do you find that there's a lot of Or have you seen a lot of the fast food places that we have here in the US?
In the major cities, you will find fast food places, right? When I was in Tokyo, I ate at Wendy's. I ate it. Yeah, I did eat at Wendy's when I was in Tokyo. And they did have some different options on there. I got a regular burger. But I will tell you this, it was the most similar to the picture burger that you would get. Yeah, the food was good. And when I was, oddly enough, let me tell you this, when I was in Thailand, it used to be a treat on Thursdays. I had my one friend college, especially during like Ramadan, he was waiting for that time when he could eat. And we would go on Thursdays, we would go to Kentucky Fried Chicken. Now I'm gonna tell you this. In the US, I do not eat Kentucky Fried Chicken. I do not eat Kentucky Fried Chicken, but in Thailand, the chicken is halal.
Wow.
Yes, in Thailand, the chicken is halal, and so that was one of the things that he could eat. And so when like it was time to break that fast, boy, he was over there getting that chicken. Yeah, it was very interesting. Yeah,
That's interesting. Look, you learn. Look, these are the things people need to know. So if you
right.
want to go to Thailand, they have halal chicken in KFC. Wow.
Kentucky Fried Chicken, and I'm telling you, I was like, a lot of things are interesting. What I think I was I in Portugal? I feel like I was in Porto, Portugal, but don't quote. And they would have beer at the McDonald's or Burger King, wherever the heck I was. But it was a fast food place, and they had beer, and I was like, oh,
All the places that you've gone and the different cuisines that you've tasted, have you ever tried to make it once you came back to the US? Have you ever tried to replicate any of those?
yeah, I have. I definitely have tried to make like pilau. Pilau is something that's very popular in East Africa, and but the first time I had pilau, I had it in Trinidad. So when I make it, I try to make it like Trinidadian style. But I do like that, and it's just basically a like a chicken and rice dish, but it's just the way it is kind of put together. Oh, I've made chips eye, which is the very popular street food in East Africa. So it's not even just Tanzania, but Kenya as well. Eye is basically a French fry omelet. Just let that resonate.
French fried omelet.
So they fry the potatoes, French fries. They call them chips, right? Remember I said the English influence from the colonizers. Yeah. So you know how I feel about that.
Uh-huh. That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah. So
What you need to know about what's going on now. That's part three of the podcast.
I know, right? Don't even get me started. So chips eye is basically a French fry omelet. So they cook the potatoes in advance, and then when you go there and you're like, yeah, let me get one. They put those fries in that pan. They put that egg in there, and I'm just telling you that their ability to make this thing, it's in a small pan, but they have to flip it right when it comes. Now potatoes are heavy. Like the ability to turn it. Some of them I've seen actually take a plate and then flip it that way and then put it back in. That's rarity. Usually, I see people when they make it, people who make it all the time, because like the most popular fast food, they do that right there in that pan. They are able to flip that thing right there, and it stays intact. It's the most amazing thing. And as simple as it sounds, it is so delicious.
Okay.
It's so delicious.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've tried that.
Oh yeah, I've tried to make that. Yeah, I've made it. It was okay, but it wasn't as good as there. I think also because we use different oils, different kinds of oil. Um, when I'm there, I know I'm usually cooking with sunflower oil. That's like the most popular oil. Here we're just using regular vegetable oil, which can be a combination of whatever.
Well, I actually did a episode on just the different additives and preservatives that we use here in the US that aren't allowed in
Other places in Europe, I think it was in Ireland, that Subway was sued because they said you can't call it bread because it has so much sugar in it They said it's like a cake.
Mm, wow. That's why I am just like a huge advocate for baking from scratch, because
Right.
at least you can control what you're eating, the ingredients, the chemicals. They had this. When BJ's and Costco's came out, everybody wants to buy the birthday cakes from BJ's and Costco's. Because and before you know it, if you're not thinking about it, you get it. That everybody would back when we grew up, we could go to a bakery and order a cake. Now you get a cake from Costco's or BJ's. I call them paragraph cakes. There's a paragraph of ingredients, a paragraph of chemicals and stuff. When
True.
really all you need is some butter, sugar, eggs, milk, flour,
Right.
and maybe a flavor or two.
Right.
So just so even just cooking from scratch also, because the food here in the US is I don't want to call it garbage, but I can control what I eat. I'd rather put it together. And I'm a food safety fanatic, so I'm not sure how everybody prepares their food. I can control what I eat. I'd rather put I'm a food safety fanatic, so I'm not sure how everybody prepares their food. I can control what I eat. I can control what I eat. I'd rather put I'm a food safety fanatic, so I'm not sure how everybody prepares their food. Can control what I eat. I'd rather put I'm a food safety fanatic, so I'm not sure how I'm a food safety fanatic, so I'm not sure how
Yes. It got broken in transport. We had to make it work.
we sold cookie crumble, and that, like, to this day I think of that, and I'm telling you, so I am just very appreciative. Robin has always been there before I even culinary school. I was cooking meals and lunches, and so I've always been in this culinary space. So and I'm thankful for having you as my friend and always being there. And what else did we come up with?
That famous cupcake.
Well, all I know was a vanilla cupcake with a caramel icing, and it was missing something. We put some pretzels on there.
We put the caramel drizzle, and we topped it with some salted pretzels.
Salted caramel crunch. That's what we called it.
Yep.
Salted caramel crunch. Yep. And remember we made that chocolate cupcake with the I put some ganache in the middle with that peanut butter frosting with a little chocolate drizzle and peanut.
That was so delicious. That was so delicious. But wait a minute, we would be remiss if we did not talk about that lemon.
The lemon curd, yes.
Lemon curd cupcake
Yeah.
was everything.
Yeah. And you just can't find flavor like that. You just can't. I mean, that's the one thing I miss about the shop, that people aren't able to taste good stuff. I'm not saying there's places out there that don't sell good stuff, but
Well, let's say that. No, let's say, okay. You don't want to say it, but I'm gonna say it. There's a place out here that sells stuff, and it ain't good. I had crumble. My cousin bought some cookies, and so I could try crumble cookies. And I've tried it 3 times. I tried it in California, and I tried it in Pennsylvania, and somewhere else where I was. I don't know. No, it wasn't in New York, but it was someplace else. My point: them cookies was not good. I did not have one good cookie. Not one good cookie. It was not one good cookie. I'm just saying, you bigger isn't always better. Like, help me, people.
And that's why I know for a fact I can make a big cookie. The texture changes. So I think having a smaller cookie,
But your cookie was large. It just wasn't fat, like cake like.
because they're using a bigger scoop, so it's not going to get as flat.
Right.
That's what I know for sure. So it's going to be thicker.
It's like a cakey cookie, but it's not even good. I'm like, and they charging an arm and a leg for it.
Like we always say, most people don't know good food, and not
Exactly.
saying, and I just do, right?
And it's no disrespect. I just want to be very clear. I'm not disrespecting people who have eaten simpler food, because when I talk about good food, I'm not necessarily talking about expensive food. I'm talking about quality food. I'm talking about the way that it was prepared with love. Because let me tell you about something else that Sahara makes. Wait. Let me just tell you about something else Sahara makes that is so simple, but it's like very necessary in the Black community. You got to be able to get down with the get down when you cooking grits. Everybody can't make grits.
Yeah.
This is just the
I
reality.
torched that up. I always say I grew up with thick grits. I
Right.
didn't know grits could be so creamy until my
Right.
mother-in-law. My mother-in-law, I couldn't believe it. And you would always put the cheese in the grits. I could eat her grits with no cheese. I was like, who knew? Who knew?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, some people just know hard time grits. They don't know good grits. So it is what it is. If you don't know better, you can't do better. And for people who like grits, let's just say there's something that's very popular in East Africa, and it's called ugali. It is basically grits, a little finer, but it's firmer. So it's like, imagine your grits are firm, kind of like the way that they serve polenta, and it's usually firm. It is like that.
So in South Carolina, the chef from Chef Dennis, BJ Dennis, he actually was featured on High on the Hog. And when he came to my shop, he did the Staten Island Museum featured him, and they had like a rice tasting. So he came and told the history of the rice, which is interesting because I knew about the rice. So when you see High on the Hog, and I forget the name of the guy who like owned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it was Ansel or something. It started with an A, but nonetheless, we had all the rice shipped to the shop. So he prepared his dishes at my shop, and they had like broken rice. That's what we made the rice pudding out of. And he said in South Carolina, because he specializes in that geechee, yeah, yes. But they use the broken rice to make their grits.
There's a broken rice dish also in Thailand. That broken rice is very popular in Thailand, parts of Thailand. Yeah. So I think rice cultures have a variety of ways of making rice. It kind of goes back to what I was saying about Japan. They know which rice is good for which dishes, right? What grows best in what region, that kind of thing. They're really, really aware of it, and they pay so much homage to rice in Japan that when kids in school, now you know how we used to have like junk lunch, right, at school. But kids in Japanese school, they have good lunch, like real, like somebody's grandma is back there making it. And they're taught to eat every grain of rice because they believe like rice is so important, right? It's such a staple in their life, and you're supposed to understand the value of each grain of that rice that you have. And I know that in the US, we have a big disposable throwaway society. Like, we don't think about things like that. And I for one, have been like, I don't want no rice. Like, I'll eat rice on occasion.
So Robin, so even before, right? I got to keep saying, before even thinking about culinary school, I always had functions, parties, get-togethers.
We used to have those brunches.
Well, Robin would put together some mango lemonade. And the mango lemonade, everybody was talking about the mango lemonade. So much so, we had it at the shop. Yes. But amongst my friends, my circle, we called it Robinade. And right. you just knew we having a brunch. That was on when you go shopping, you knew you had to get all the ingredients so we could have our Robinade. Like one of the best drinks ever. So when I would do, now that I have the shop and I would do functions and events, we would bring our little beverage dispenser and we have our Robinade in there. Yep.
Well, The Robinade sort of morphed into a very adult drink. It is known from coast to coast, from the tip to the bottom, okay? Down to Florida. Yeah. Everybody knows about the Robinade. People very serious about the Robinade. As a matter of fact, when I was going away to travel, I was trying to raise a few dollars after I had a little financial snafu. And I had a get together at my house and I was selling Robinade. When I tell you, I think I made about 20 gallons of Robinade. And when I tell you it was sold out like in an hour, people were like, "Am I too late? Am I too late?" I wanted to get some Robinade. For me, when I make things, cooking or whatever, it's always like about love, right? And community and coming together, like sisterhood and stuff, right? So there was never been a price put on anything. But when I tell you people was serious about it, they was like, "How much? Okay, okay, okay." Like people didn't even care, and the Robinade really came about. It was like I said, it was a labor of love. I actually bought a whole case of mangoes the first time I made it. I bought a whole case of mangoes and I don't know, 50 lemons or something. And there I was putting these lemons through the food processor, and then I'm putting it through the sieve. When I tell you it was so labor intensive until I figured out shortcuts.
Yeah,
It
we're
was
not gonna tell
unbelievable.
people how we make it.
No, we're not. Yeah, no. Yeah, I ain't gonna tell you what's in it. Don't like. Yeah, Sahara got that secret. She got the secret.
How can I explain? Like I say, everybody needs a Robin. Robin is like everything. So, Robin, I want you to tell the people how they can connect with you, how what services you offer, and you are not only do you like to travel, but you give guidance and consult on traveling. So, but tell me about the food you hate, and then you can tell us how people can connect with you.
I'm gonna say. Let me say this. As far as the foods I hated, and maybe hate is a strong word, but there were things that I wouldn't necessarily eat again. Specifically in Thailand, there's something that they really, really love. It's called durian. It's a fruit. It is a stinky fruit. It smells so bad that they have signs on the subway, on their metro, their trains, that says like no guns, no knives, no durian.
What's it? Spell it.
Durian, durian fruit. And there are people who hate it and people who love it. There are people who love it, love it, love it. Like I have this one friend from Singapore who's a chef, and he absolutely loves it. He's like, "Robin, you got to give it another chance." And I believe that you sometimes need to try foods like 3 times in order for you to be sure, like you like it, don't like it, kind of thing. And I was like, I can't get beyond the smell of it. So the yeah, it smells like something rotten. Okay, I'm gonna tell you what I think it tastes like. Now, again, people can try it. Some love it, some hate it. I'm amongst the haters. It is a combination. The texture is creamy-ish, but when you combine the texture and the smell together, even if you closed your eyes, you would think you were chewing on dirty socks mixed with rotten onions and vomit.
Uh,
That's exactly how I'm just telling you. That's what I felt. Like I was just like I couldn't even I couldn't even get it down the first time. I couldn't even swallow it. I could not swallow it. It was that bad.
and that's in Thailand.
That's in Thailand. You can get it all over Asia. It's the outside of the durian fruit is all spiky looking. Then when you cut it, it's like pods inside. These like big sort of bean sized like pods, and it's soft and like almost like the texture of like a banana, but like a softer banana ish. But it just tastes so daggone bad. But the fruit that I was turned on to in Thailand, that if you want to get it here, it's outrageously priced. It is called mangosteen. And when I tell you this is my new favorite fruit, oh my word.
Now you was talking
Let me
about the
see.
stuff you didn't like.
I know, but I had to tell you, I don't want to make it seem like all the time the fruits from these other places are bad, because I had longan and I had but durian is like at the top of the list of the things that I didn't like, of things that I ate but I wouldn't eat again. Um, I had some horse sausage,
What?
horse, giddy up, horse. Yeah,
And you know, horses are one of my favorite animals.
I love horses too. But let me tell you that specifically in parts of Spain, Mongolia, I had it in Finland, and Finland too. Horses get eat just like deer get eaten. You know what I mean? So yeah, so I had horse sausage.
You knew you was gonna eat horse sausage and said yes, please. Yes, I would like to try this.
It was a platter of different things, and then when I said, "Well, what was this?" and they said it was horse sausage, and so it didn't sit well with me. But okay, wait. It tasted fine. I just want to make that really clear. It tasted fine, but just me knowing what it was made me say I wouldn't necessarily eat it again. But horse sausage it wasn't that bad, but
I'm gonna need you to tell me before I eat it. So, fortunately enough for me, I don't eat pork, so I'm always gonna question what I'm eating.
So another thing that I said that I didn't like, because the horse sausage was I liked it, but I wouldn't eat it again. But what I wouldn't eat that tasted awful to me was crocodile. Now look at her. I had previously had alligator while in Florida and also in New Orleans. I had alligator. So I knew what that tasted like, right? But pretty much everything tastes better fried.
I'm not interested in all the different animals, the multi prong. I'm just not interested. I'm not interested.
Yeah, I understand that. But when you go places, you have to be willing to try different cuisines. And I'm going to tell you something else. That this crocodile. First of all, the crocodile was grilled. It was like grilled. It was just awful. It was awful. It just was awful. Like it had a very off-putting taste, and it was like dry cotton and hay mixed together. I don't know. It was just not good. I did not like it. Meanwhile, like I said, I have had alligator bites, which were like alligator like nuggets that was battered and fried or whatever, and it was fine. Tasted like chicken. But that alligator didn't taste nothing like that crocodile. I'm just saying. Okay, so another odd thing that I've eaten, I had it in Peru. I was in Peru for a long time. So in South America, parts of South America, this is something that is like let's say like the Easter dinner. Like how sometimes people have turkey at Thanksgiving or ham at Christmas or whatever, right? There's a dish that they eat for like an occasion. It's called cuy. So cuy.
I'm scared to even find out what the coup is and what the E is.
Cuy is guinea pig. So, for those who don't know, if maybe you had a hamster growing up, it's like a giant hamster.
I'm about to curse now. You gotta be kidding me. I almost cursed just now. Yeah. You need to know I was getting ready to curse.
I'm gonna tell you, because I keep it 100. I had the cuy. When they serve it, junk up on the plate, the head and the tails.
No. You tell the people, because I can't. No.
But let me say this: it was roasted. It was oven roasted. It tasted like dark meat pork. So you wouldn't necessarily have the reference, but it tasted like dark meat pork. So not the white meat part, but the more dark meat part. That's what it tasted like. When I was in Morocco, I had my first camel burger.
We need to wait. Let's talk about Wanderfully Me, because we need to hear about these stories. You naming all these places, even though I know, because anytime I call you, I'm like, well, what country are you in? Are you in the U.S.? Even if you're in the U.S., no, you're not necessarily. You could be in California, right? So just to be clear, who knew that you were? I didn't know you went to Morocco. I don't think I ever heard you tell me.
Yeah, I went to Morocco. Actually, it was when I had the epiphany about my health.
But also tell the people in terms of you've gone to all these countries. What's the time span? What is the time span?
The years?
Like did you travel all these places within the last 10 years, 20 years?
I think I really started doing major travel in 97. I think before 97 I had been to places like Canada.
More specifically, I would say solo travel because that's what I know you.
My solo travel journey really started in 2012. In 2012. Yes. Yeah. And so I like everybody to understand that my travel has been different because I had to travel slow. I can't do fast travel because of I have this chronic illness, and so like today I'm having a good day, which kind of gets back to why it's taking so long for us to get together to do this podcast, right? Because I don't always have good days. Yeah, so I travel to places and I'm usually there for long periods of time because I have to give myself enough time to reset. I can't be planning like, oh, I'm going to be there 5 days. I'm going to do this, and this. No, I need to be there 3 weeks so that I can get those things in because I don't know how I'm going to be feeling. It's possible I can get them all done in a week, but that's highly unlikely. Yeah. So my channel is basically me giving some travel tips, things that I've learned along the way, solo travel. And it's also me sharing like stories about people who I've met, like empowering encounters, people that really showed me things about life, taught me lessons. And a lot of those lessons have come from younger people. Yeah, but I have learned a lot from young people traveling. And I think one of the things is fearlessness, right? Because here in the US, and maybe that's not everyone's experience, but in general, the people I've come across, and I know a lot of people, but there's a difference between the way that others see the world and the way Americans do. Americans have this thought process of, oh, we're the best, therefore there's no need to go anywhere else. I don't, but and those others who might even think about it are afraid. And I'm talking about people my age. You knocking on 60 and you scared to leave the country? Like what in the whole world is going on? But it's the messaging that we've gotten along the way that things are scary outside. But the reality is things are scary inside. So I'm telling stories about people I've met, things that I've done, places I've been, and I'm hopefully inspiring others to step out of their comfort zone so that they can have some experiences of their own. Because I think it's really important for you to have a real balanced opinion, fair and honest. You have to see for yourself exactly what that life is like. People are so quick to judge when they only have one side of the story.
Some quick tips. Give us like 3 quick tips that you would have for somebody
who's a solo traveler. Somebody's a solo traveler. Hey, if you don't have one, get a passport. Get a passport. Get a passport quick. And let me say this: there's 2 things that I recommend when you get your passport that people don't tell you. The first thing is you can also get a passport card, which is another source of identification that you can carry with you. So, for example, when I'm traveling, I usually put my passport in the safe at the hotel, but I will carry my passport card with me and a copy, a color page of my bio data page, right? So people can see this is my passport and my passport card corresponds, and they can know that it's me and whatever, should the need arise. And the second thing that I recommend with a passport is that you get the big book. I did not know that you could get a bigger book. And as a person who was doing a lot of solo travel and getting a lot of stamps, because you get a lot of stamps in your books with the places you go, you can run out of pages. There are places that require you to have a certain amount of blank pages when you come into their country. So, yeah, I recommend that people off gate get the big book. And it's just as simple as you just like checking the box. That's my two recommendations for passports. The other thing is travel etiquette. My number one thing that I want people to understand is when you go to places, don't expect them to be the place you've been. It is the place you're at. So they have different cultures, different norms, different mores, right? The way that they live their life and run their businesses or do whatever. Don't sit here comparing it to what you did in the US, because if you wanted a US experience, you should have stayed in the US, period, point blank, So that's that. And leave it better than you found it. That's another thing. Like, you don't need to be coming here trying to be the next colonizer, right? Leave it better than you found it. Do better and be better. I don't knock people in other places for charging Americans more. I don't. People get very upset about it. But let me just say this. Americans go to these other countries, and the first thing they do when they get on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, TikTok, whatever they have, the word that they always use is, "Oh, this place is so cheap." People are just making a living there. They're just making a living. And they may not have the discretionary income that you have. So when you say something is cheap, meanwhile they're struggling to be able to buy that very same thing, it's insulting. So go with the right mindset. You know what I'm saying? Take something good with you, meaning your attitude. Leave that American thinking behind. You know, and again, people may be patriotic and oh, the US is the best if you say so. I'm just telling you, I've been to more than 50 countries and I've had great experiences in the vast majority. Morocco was one of those that I don't know that I would return to, but the vast majority of places I've had wonderful experiences. And I want to say, as a black woman solo traveler over 50, I have not felt a level of discrimination in other places as much as I've felt it in the United States. But getting back to Wanderfully Me, yeah, I touch on, like I said, the tips and tricks and things. And I think the last thing I would say to people about traveling solo is, because people always say, "Oh, do your research, do your research." The research is only going to help you so much. You got to go there with an open mind and an open heart, right? That's what I said about being a good traveler. But one of the things about being a good traveler is getting your ass there on time. Sorry for saying ass, but I'm gonna say ass again. Get your ass to the airport on time. And when I say on time, I mean 3 hours ahead. You rather be sitting at the gate waiting to get on for 3 hours for international. We're not talking about domestic, which is 2 hours, but 3 hours for international. And when I'm telling you 3 hours, I'm always there probably 3.5, 4 hours in advance. Why? Because I don't know. My Uber might get a flat tire. I don't know. I'm never going to miss my flight.
All right. Well, Robin, thank you. Thank you. So, Wonderfully Me is your YouTube page.
Hey, y'all. So look, Wonderful Me is a wonderful resource, and I am so happy to be your travel consultant if you have questions. So just reach out to me. You hit me up in the comments and I will surely get back to you, and we can discuss whatever your plans are. I can help you decide on an itinerary, give you some tips and trips about the whole travel gig. So whatever you like, I'm available.
Thank you, Robin. I think we'll end it here. And
Thanks for having me, Chef Sahara.
of course, of course. And if you want to get in touch with Wonderfully Me, I will leave her name up there, and also have it in the comments, a link to her page as well. And yeah, so this is just a little insight on the countries out there, what places. So it looks like Thailand is on our list of places to go.
Let me tell you, it needs to be. And when you find yourself in East Asia, Southeast Asia, there's so many other countries right around, right? So I've been to Cambodia, I've been to Laos, I've been to Vietnam. All of these are right there by Thailand. You can see as many countries as you'd like in that region, and the flights are cheap. I just want to throw that in there.
Yeah, we may have to even come back with just maybe
Southeast Asia.
yeah, and discuss those places and just what do they need to know about how to get to these places, and where are you staying, and how do you know where to stay, what to eat, or just give us a little more insight on that. If you have
Okay.
time, we could go over that.
I would be glad to come back to your show. Please do invite.
Yes, yes. Because need to know is not just about, yes, of course, it's a pun on, or play on words with need, I should say. But yeah, there's so much that you need to know, not just cooking related. So I do have a lot to say. All right, guys, that's it for Need to Know Pod. I'm your host, Chef Sahira. And if you want to get in contact with Robin, like I said, I will leave her information in the description box. And as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
You need to know what to do with that dough. Let the chef show you. You need to know what to do with that dough. Let the chef show you.